Hare Krishna devotees, the speaker will be joining in a minute. Hare Krishna devotees, Dandavat Pranam. Welcome to Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya. Today we are very fortunate to have the Association of His Grace Vanamali, Govind Prabhu, who will be sharing the nectar from Srila Prabhupada Lilamrtha from chapter number 58. Hare Krishna Prabhuji, we can start Prabhuji. Prabhuji, is my voice audible, Prabhuji, to you?
Yes, Prabhu.
Okay, Mataji. I think he's having some technical issues logging in. He will join again. Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam Prabhuji.
Dandavat Pranam Prabhu, am I audible?
Yes, Prabhuji, you are audible. I think you are a little bit in the corner of the camera. If you can center yourself, that would be nice.
Yes.
Yes, Prabhuji, it's okay, Prabhu. Hare Krishna devotees, a warm welcome again to Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya. Today we are fortunate to have the Association of His Grace Vanamali Govind Prabhu, who will be sharing the nectar from Srila Prabhupada Lilamrtha. He'll continue the Leela of Srila Prabhupada from chapter number 58. Over to you, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, you want me to share any screen or you will be sharing by yourself?
I will be sharing with myself, okay? I will not sharing also. It will be without sharing only. I just made notes. Thank you. So, warm welcome to all the devotees for the today's morning Srimad Bhagavatam Prabhupada Lilamrita discussion. I could not complete the Boston chapter, so we will try to continue from where we stopped in the last session. We will start with prayers. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Namne. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gaurvani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatadeshatarine Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gauradesh He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Shri Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Priya Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhyev cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaः. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Ram. Okay. So in the discussion of Srila Prabhupada Lilamrtha, I would like to take the blessings of all the assembled Vaishnavas online. Would like to take this as an opportunity to remember Srila Prabhupada, and it was very nice for me to go through, and it was making me remember Srila Prabhupada's pastimes, which I have also studied long back, and it was a good revision for me. So for the pleasure of all the Vaishnavas and my own purification, would like to just summarize what is there in the chapter. So in the last session, we discussed about how Srila Prabhupada reached USA after his India visit, recovering from the health, and finally in 1968, and then after a few months, he was scheduled to come to Boston. And after reaching there, we saw that how Jadurani Mataji's interactions welcoming Srila Prabhupada, and following that the schedules in the universities, and the way Srila Prabhupada preached very boldly in the MIT Boston University. And even though one place the things were not very nicely organized, Prabhupada was very focused on giving the direct philosophy without having any impression that whether the audience is more or less. And from there we will continue today that how Prabhupada further spends a good amount of time in Boston. So this was the place where he came first from India in the Jalduta, and now he is revisiting the same city, but with different successes and preaching schedules. So continuing his visit in the university, after completing the Northeastern University, the Massachusetts University lecture at the chapel, now he goes to Harvard University. And Harvard University is very, very famous for students being very intelligent, with high scholarship. And he immediately appreciated the fortune of the Harvard students. But he told, if you can add Krishna in this, then it will be much more fortunate for all of you. It will be like adding some kind of aroma, a very, very fragrant aroma to already existing gold. So he was mentioning that their status was already like gold, but if they added Krishna in there, it will be much more fortunate, and it will bring real happiness to themselves. So here, a professor thanked Srila Prabhupada for giving enlightenment on Hindu philosophy at the end of the lecture. But Srila Prabhupada was very bold enough that he immediately interrupted and he told, we are not Hindus. So yesterday, even I had an opportunity to go to our dental college, my dental college from where I had studied, to give a lecture. And it was after a long time that I met my professors and teachers, but I could not give the same way how Prabhupada gives. So we can understand that although Prabhupada was very bold, and sometimes in my initial days of Krishna consciousness, I used to think, why can't we also preach the same way how Prabhupada is preaching? But there is a gulf of difference. He is a very elderly personality, a pure personality. So we can just imitate the way Prabhupada does. But he had an advantage of doing that. And it is just simply impossible to imitate what Prabhupada is doing. So we can't preach like that, how Prabhupada did. But he brought results also by being very strong and having said that he had the compassion for the people around him. So one student is asking, how about Geet Govinda? Because he was learned in Sanskrit. So he was asking that the highest knowledge which is there in Geet Govinda, but is it good for brahmacharis to read that? So brahmacharis, Prabhupada's answer was yes, it is only possible by brahmacharis, because Geet Govinda has nothing to do with mundane sexuality, but it is about all about spiritual technology of Radha and Krishna. So his answer was very, very divine, and in the way the students of universities could accept. So it appeared to the devotees after so many visits to university lectures that these students were actually coming and hearing, but after the lecture, not everybody was joining. Maybe few of them are attending and coming to storefront in the Boston to attend further sessions. Most of them used to go back, see movies or drink, engage in the normal habits. So then the devotees were contemplating, actually Srila Prabhupada is giving lectures not for this common ordinary people. He's actually giving for us, because after he goes back from here, it is we, Prabhupada knows, that are going to continue his mission. And being assistant to him. So that was the realization of the devotees who were going always with Prabhupada to attend his lectures in the universities. Also, Srila Prabhupada spoke about Krishna from morning to night. Unlike the yogis, Satsurdas Maharaj mentions that the yogis have sometimes silence, vow of silence. But Prabhupada told, when one loves God, he wants to tell about him to others. He cannot stop speaking from himself, and what to speak, only to speak, he can write volumes of books also. So many times in a day, Govinda Dasi Mataji, she was trying to observe Srila Prabhupada in the storefront, in the rooms, in the quarters where Srila Prabhupada was staying, and she was assisting. So when Prabhupada was having no extra outdoor engagement, she will be seeing what Prabhupada is doing when he's alone in the room. She will try to see from the keyhole, not trying to disturb Prabhupada, but just out of curiosity. And she was trying to imagine what kind of a personality is he. Surely he is not a very ordinary personality. So she saw Prabhupada reading commentaries of Srimad Bhagavatam from different acharyas in the free time. He was either chanting in the room, or he was dozing briefly after the lunch, or he was reciting verses from Chaitanya Charitamrita, and he was chanting in the apartments and observing what the disciples are doing, what services they are doing. And Govinda Dasi Mataji was thinking, who is he, from where he has come? He might be some great personality, and I have only a very small glimpse of him. I don't know really who is he. Like that, she was imagining when she was trying to observe Prabhupada. So sometimes when Prabhupada was served lunch, and the devotees used to enter and had some interaction during the daytime, but almost always the meeting used to end up in some Krishna conscious talk. Like if a devotee is bringing lunch, then Prabhupada will be asking, what is the favorite item of Krishna, or what do the great devotees do, or how do they fast, or how killing of cows is bringing them the misfortune of the society. The cows are helpless. So like that, somehow Prabhupada will bring out some topic, philosophical topic, and that made appear to the devotees that Prabhupada is oozing with Krishna consciousness always. It is not that when he is giving lecture only is Krishna conscious, but even other times also his center of the topic for discussion is related to Krishna. Some devotees entered the Srila Prabhupada's room, and they found out that somehow Prabhupada is making them speak against theism. That is, he's trying to make them feel atheistic, and then Prabhupada will give counter arguments that why atheism is wrong. Or somebody will just come to change the bulb, and Prabhupada will tell that I want to introduce Krishna consciousness to the entire world, and introduce Varnashram Dharma and the social order. So somehow the talk of philosophy will come whenever anybody enters his room. And how devotees were feeling that they are taking his time more than what other centers were taking. So somehow the news went to Satsvarup Das Maharaj that devotees are coming, and sometimes they used to talk for long hours when Prabhupada was very enthusiastic to share with them. So Satsvarup Das Maharaj became little alarmed. And are we bothering Prabhupada? Are we disturbing Prabhupada? Then once Jadurani Mataji was actually hearing and Prabhupada for a long period of time, and Prabhupada, when he was speaking, then suddenly Jadurani Mataji interrupted that probably Swamiji, instead of spending time on me, you should not waste your time, and instead you should utilize your time to translate Bhagavatam. Like that point Jadurani Mataji made. So then Srila Prabhupada immediately told her that if you love someone, then you like to hear from him. So that was the reply of Srila Prabhupada. On the other hand, when such things were becoming more frequent, that devotees were sitting for long time inside the Prabhupada's room, and then one day after morning walk, all the disciples just stood below and saw Prabhupada going above in his room and not entering the room. And Prabhupada walked up the stairs and saw all the disciples and told, "Come on." So everybody ran immediately to Prabhupada's room and sat and heard from them. Then after some time, after some discussion, Satsvarup Das Maharaj immediately bowed his head and told Prabhupada, "Now I think you should carry on with your work and we will not disturb you further, and we will also go." Then Prabhupada immediately stopped and interrupted. This is also work. You don't know what is the work. Talking to you is also work. And Prabhupada continued. So it never appeared to bother Prabhupada, and he was very much enthusiastically sharing Krishna consciousness with the disciples also in his free time or in the times between the engagements. Basically, Maharaj writes that it appeared that Srila Prabhupada is only speaking to anybody who comes to remove his ignorance, especially the interested younger generation. Older people were somewhat biased, and Prabhupada was more feeling interested to speak to the younger audience. And after some time staying in Boston, the attendance was dropping in the morning classes. And then compared to the first meeting in the temple. But Srila Prabhupada said he didn't mind. He should not stop speaking. Anyway, he will keep continuing. He was telling that there are universities in Calcutta who have opened courses where only 2 students have registered, or one of the courses only 1 student has registered, but they have opened. So if they are having such a standard, the same should be there for transcendental education. We should not compromise, and we should continue. Even if one soul can become very good devotee, then he can make many others into devotees. So with that inspiration, Prabhupada continued giving lectures in the morning times with same enthusiasm. And in morning walk, Srila Prabhupada was to teach them how to preach. Yeah, he was always discussing on long that once His Holiness Satsvarup Das Maharaj told that a Swamiji is saying that I am God. So Prabhupada will immediately catch that. What did the Swami tell? That he is God? Then Prabhupada will teach them how to curb the arguments of such false Swamis by asking them, you should ask them, who is God? God is a controller. Are you a controller? God is controlling the entire universe. Are you able to control the entire universe? Or if you get a tooth pain, will you be able to be remain relaxed? You will have to immediately run to a doctor. But God doesn't have to run to a doctor. God is omnipotent. He's omniscient. So like that, Prabhupada used to teach them in morning walks how to ask such questions to those who pose themselves as God or pseudo spiritualists. And Srila Prabhupada was sharing with sometimes anger in the morning walk to his disciples, because he will feel that why didn't you counteract? You should have counteracted with this arguments. He will be charging to his disciples. And they should not have any doubt, basically. They should be fully convinced. So Prabhupada was training them during the morning walks. He was also telling that sometimes these pseudo swamis, they tell that we are not God now, but later we will become God. So for this argument also Prabhupada gave a supporting argument that how to tackle this, and he explained that that means illusion is bigger than God. If you are a God and now you have been covered with illusion, then that means illusion is bigger. Like that you have to tell. But God is Parabrahman. He is never coming under illusion. He is not that kind of a God. Yes, you may be God, but you might be a tiny God. But what we are referring is to the supreme God. He never becomes covered by illusion, even temporarily. So like this, Prabhupada was teaching them to convey and preach. Srila Prabhupada also was telling that devotees are not sometimes interested in arguments. They are more interested in Krishna Katha or in chanting. But he told that so many people are atheistic. They are coming with so much arguments. So devotees should learn to argue. They should know how to defeat them and establish Krishna consciousness with a firm footing. And when there was Mr. Matthew, who came from the Massachusetts, Harvard University, he met him, and he was trying to talk to Srila Prabhupada that Srila Prabhupada, because he knew a lot of about Vaishnavism, he was doing a research study also, and that he was telling that there are many spiritual masters in India, in Vrindavan. What is so special about you? They don't come and they travel here, but they sit, and there are many spiritual masters in Vrindavan and in other parts of India also. There are many more pure devotees. That is what Matthews was putting a point to Prabhupada. But Prabhupada immediately told, no, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu told not to sit in Vrindavan, but to go out and preach. So it is more important to follow the instructions of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. It is not simply important that a sannyasi remains in one place, but the main fundamental thing of sannyasi is to go and preach. Then Matthew asked further question, is it necessary to become sannyas? Then he told, yes, it is very, very beneficial for preaching if one takes sannyas. So in that way, Matthews was a little bit hesitant to agree. He was telling that it is not necessary for one to take sannyas, and it is only about devotion, bhakti, like that he was mentioning. Then Prabhupada immediately told to Matthews, when he saw the time, oh, it is already a lot of time passed, I have to go back home, I have to help my wife in cooking, there are guests coming. So Prabhupada immediately caught him. See, hence my point is proved. I told that sannyas has a lot of time for preaching. Now since Matthew had to go back, Prabhupada pointed out that I am still here for you, I can give time, but you cannot give time. So in that way, Prabhupada was trying to prove his point. And then there were questions on one devotee asked that whether what comes first, devotion or awareness. Prabhupada mentioned that first comes devotion, and why he was telling about that was that unless and until we don't practice the elements of bhakti, then there is no question of becoming Krishna conscious awareness. Although I had also personally heard that first one time Prabhupada tells that first be conscious, then be Krishna conscious. But here Prabhupada is saying in a different meaning. He is mentioning that first the devotee's devotion comes, then the awareness, and the faith is low. But when we chant, when we actually make an effort with that little shraddha, then slowly and slowly our devotion will increase, and the Divya Gyan Hriday Prakashito, the awareness, the knowledge will automatically will be gifted as a mercy of the Lord, not that we attain it. And then he mentioned about the Hatha Yoga, and the Hatha Yoga is meant for the soul, for the body, and not for the soul. But then one devotee argued that eventually the goal of Hatha Yoga is to become spiritual, to transcend the bodily consciousness. But then Prabhupada immediately interrupted and told that Bhakti Yoga is an activity to cleanse the mind and intelligence, and automatically the body will be also cleansed. It is not that we have to separately make an endeavor to clean the body. So here the wise men do not give much importance to the body, which the Hatha Yogis do. They give a lot of importance to body, and also, if that is the case, that Hatha Yogis will immediately or eventually attain Krishna, but then he tells then all the wrestlers and athletes of the world will get Krishna Prema. So in that way, Prabhupada was giving arguments for each and every concept which he was facing from the various audience. And one student asked, one yoga student, he was asking on that, I am practicing spirituality, but I still have sex desire. And he was a sincere student, taking teachings from one another Swami in USA. So he mentions that Prabhupada tells that there is no progress if you are still having, you are maintaining sex desire. That means your progress on your practices has to be checked. The proof of progress is eventually you may have sex desire, but you don't get disturbed with it. You can try to tolerate it successfully by the other engagements in Bhakti Yoga. So Srila Prabhupada was then asked, then how does a Krishna conscious devotee control his sex desire? Then Srila Prabhupada mentions, it is automatic. We can't fight alone with Maya. Maya is very, very strong, but we pray and Krishna will help to conquer those who are sincere. Krishna will help us to conquer the sex desire, because Krishna is the most beautiful, the most intelligent, and to those who are very sincere, he will help. So these were some arguments which Prabhupada brought front to the devotees who were asking such questions, or general public. Now, there was a moment in Boston when second initiation came into picture. So when there was initiation, devotees asked that, Prabhupada, when does a person qualify for initiation? Then Prabhupada told, after hearing for 1 year, he will be qualified. He can get initiated. He should minimum hear for 1 year and follow the 4 regulative principles and chant Hare Krishna. So then the question came that what is the difference between a Krishna conscious devotee and an ordinary holy man, a pious man? So Prabhupada told, Krishna conscious devotee doesn't forget Krishna even for a moment, and he always thinks about Krishna. So like this, once Prabhupada returned back from a morning walk with his disciples and yoga students, and he saw that Gaur Sundar Prabhu is missing. And when he inquired, where is Gaur Sundar? Then Gaur Sundar Prabhu immediately came to the room and told Prabhupada, I was busy with some work. Then Prabhupada became very angry that why he was not attending his morning walks. He asked him, do you think that my morning walks are only for the new people? No, it is also for the existing disciples. And a devotee, a disciple is the one who always lends his ear, always hears when the spiritual master speaks. So that way Prabhupada continued to discipline his disciples in Boston. Once a yoga student stopped coming after a few days, they came for many days. In fact, one of the students was helping Prabhupada to wear shoes, so very humble, but then suddenly they stopped coming. So Prabhupada was also wondering what happened. They were so nicely coming regularly, and immediately they stopped. So that's all was the mention given in Lilamrtha about them. Then once Yamuna Devi and Krishna photo was kept on the altar. It was a new picture which Prabhupada saw when he came to one of the days morning. He offered his obeisances, he got up and he stared at the picture. So disciples were also there, and one of the student asked that, what is that picture, Prabhupada, can you explain? And Prabhupada then explains, because they were able to see only one lady giving Krishna to Vasudeva. So then Prabhupada said that, oh, this is a pastime when Vasudeva, the father of Krishna, is carrying Krishna through the Yamuna river, and suddenly Krishna falls down in the Yamuna river for a moment or so. And then Mother Yamuna, personified Yamuna Devi, comes and hands it over back to Vasudeva, telling, I just wanted to play for some time with Krishna. So that was the explanation given by Prabhupada of the picture in the altar. And once Srila Prabhupada was given back to Godhead advertisement printed by the devotees. He was told that Prabhupada, they gave the picture with so many pictures of Srila Prabhupada, and the headlines told that this man has changed the picture of the whole world, the history of the whole world. Like that, the headlines were writing that this man. So Prabhupada saw the headlines of the article, the advertisement, and the pictures. And Prabhupada just saw for some time, he kept quiet. And then one devotee asked, "What do you think, Prabhupada, about this?" So Prabhupada immediately replied, "It is not respectful to call a spiritual master man, this man, by his disciples." So there was a unexpected reply from Srila Prabhupada, and he immediately gave the article back to the disciples. So Prabhupada was not, we can understand that Prabhupada was not just worried about the preaching or his own fame, but he was also very careful how his disciples maintained the etiquette and improved upon their devotion to the spiritual master very carefully. And once upon a time, when he was giving lecture, some children were making a lot of noise. They were again and again slamming the doors, or they were misbehaving when the lecture was going on, shouting. So this was going on for some time. And then Prabhupada was made a statement that these students, these children are not properly trained, because the fault is of the modern society. They are not training them. Then one devotee or one man from the audience immediately interrupted, telling that, but Prabhupada, they are supposed to be divine. Children are supposed to be divine. Then instead of arguing, Prabhupada chose to tell him, yeah, they are supposed to be divine. That is all right. So Prabhupada affirmed his statement that they are supposed, and in that he also told, but they are not divine. They are not acting like divine. So Prabhupada was sometimes very smart enough to not create unnecessary arguments when such questions came. That is what I understood by reading that. There was no further explanation given by Satsrup Das Maharaj in that. And then Srila Prabhupada once took a tour of the storefront where the Boston devotees were living. He saw many pictures were increasing now slowly. Jadurani Mataji is bringing more and more pictures. He appreciated them. But when he went down, where there was bathing place, staying place of devotees, he saw it was very austere. And even though some of them, the public were criticizing the devotees of staying in this way, somewhat austere, somewhat unclean, it did not disturb much to Prabhupada, because Prabhupada saw this as a Krishna's devotees, saw them and the place as a service for Krishna. So he in fact told that Satsvarup Das Maharaj, whether the things are working properly or there are any concerns. He made a general inquiry, and he took a tour within few minutes, because it was not a very big place. But then devotees felt, because Prabhupada has come down and saw this place also, they got a very different feeling that how much Prabhupada is concerned, and he is giving importance to each and every part of the storefront, and their enthusiasm enlivened. Although there may be difficulty at the background, but they were more enthusiastic now to do more for Srila Prabhupada with this just one visit of Srila Prabhupada. And now the time came for second initiation, and Prabhupada made an announcement. Those who have been initiated first initiation, Harinam Diksha, for 1 year, they are now eligible to get second initiation, and tomorrow you can do the elaborate arrangements. Like first initiation only, there should be yajna, and I will give second initiation. And one devotee asked that, is it more important than Harinam Diksha? Then Prabhupada told, no, Harinam Diksha is good enough for one to go back home, back to Godhead. However, this will help one to increase his Krishna consciousness. So then when the next day came, all the arrangements were done, and Prabhupada started telling about second initiation and how his spiritual master had introduced Brahman Diksha, irrespective of the caste and creed from where the disciples or the devotees would have come before. And then when there was a question that there are any other new vows, Prabhupada told no, there are no more new vows. Already the devotees are, or there is any fasting which has to be done. So Prabhupada told no, devotees are taking only Krishna Prasadam. So that itself is a fasting. But fasting is meant for outside people who keep eating nonsense things. So fasting is not actually here introduced in second initiation or in the lives. Yes, the devotees do fast, but it is more concerned for the non-devotees who eat anything. When devotees eat prasadam, it itself is fasting. And then Prabhupada concluded, he gave Diksha, he gave the saffron, the sacred thread to all the 6 initiates. And then he saw that Govind Dasi is missing. Jadurani Mataji was also feeling a little slighted or inferiority that she was not given the second initiation. And then Prabhupada was thinking about this, and Govinda Dasi Mataji was sitting in the quarters of Srila Prabhupada, which was separate from the storefront. And then she was feeling that, why am I thinking that Prabhupada has not given me second initiation and I'm wasting my time here? Instead, I should go and hear the lecture of Srila Prabhupada. Thinking that, she immediately ran to storefront and the ceremony was about to get over. And then when she entered, Prabhupada saw her. And Prabhupada told, oh, here comes the lady. I was thinking about her and Krishna sent her. So Prabhupada sensed that both Jadurani Mataji and Govind Dasi Mataji were feeling little awkward that they were not given second initiation, although they did not complain. But Prabhupada sensed it, and then he arranged for a second initiation for both of them on the same day, on the same night. He made elaborate arrangements, but he told, but we cannot give the thread. Matajis will not be able to receive the thread, but he awarded them the Gayatri Mantra. And in this way, Prabhupada conducted the second initiation of the eligible devotees. And then Prabhupada was also informed by one devotee that Prabhupada, somebody has given us a donation of bus. So Prabhupada, they are told that let us go for a ride and test ride. So Prabhupada sat on the bus, and the bus was a very unique one. There was only one seat in the bus, that was driver's seat. So there was no other seat. It was like a flat a barrier. So devotees quickly hurried up and brought a chair for Prabhupada to sit. And Prabhupada sat just next to the driver, like the captain of the ship. And the whole atmosphere changed from the nature to test the bus, and now going with a spiritual master on a ride. So many disciples boarded the bus platform, which was very flat, and they were some of them were sitting near Prabhupada also, down folded, and the bus started. It was making some rumbling sounds, but Prabhupada was just giving them directions: go left, right, go left, go right. And then devotees were amazed where Prabhupada is going to take us. The bus reached to a natural waterfront, and then Prabhupada was telling that we are going to Commonwealth Pier. This is the place where I first entered USA through Jaldut on the Boston Harbor. Commonwealth Pier is a platform on which it is connects the seashore to the ocean. So Prabhupada took them there, and Prabhupada was sharing with them that I don't know why I came here when I came. The whole area and atmosphere is different. But now I have so many boys and girls who are helping me, and without me also, this mission will go on here. So like that, Prabhupada took them a tour up and down so many times, almost in 1 hour. But the harbor was not so much appealing to the devotees. It was some historic ancient place, not very attractive one. But Prabhupada spoke on seeing the big buildings from the seashore. He was seeing the city light, and one building is becoming, they are severing the building, demolishing the building and creating another building. So seeing this, Prabhupada made a statement that this is not actually real happiness. Tearing down a building and building a new one. It is, Prabhupada compared this just to a union of boy and girl. They are coming sometimes together, and then they are divorcing. So there is no real happiness in union or no happiness in separation. it is actually the Maya which is creating the separation and union again and again and again. But Prabhupada made a statement that real union is with Krishna, and we should do separation from Maya. So with that, when he saw a bridge where it was written down, unalloyed steel, probably it was a steel bridge, and Prabhupada told, these people have unalloyed steel and we have unalloyed devotion. So like that, Prabhupada used to make the walks or the visit to such places with devotees very Krishna conscious. And once Pradyumna Prabhu asked Prabhupada, what if people do not want to hear us speaking about Krishna consciousness? Then Prabhupada gave a very amazing answer that people may not understand, but Krishna will be pleased. People may not want to hear, but Krishna will be pleased when we are preaching. So that is our mission. He told, doesn't matter if not a single person comes for our lecture or for our preaching avenues. We will preach to the moon and the directions. We will preach in the wilderness because Krishna is everywhere. We only want certificate from Krishna. What is the use of getting certificate from the pack of asses? Prabhupada was telling, who cannot appreciate Krishna consciousness. There is no use. But if Krishna's senses are pleased and our senses get purified by serving like this to Krishna, that is our success. So Prabhupada was always inspiring the devotees time and again to continue the preaching movement, their services, whenever they used to feel little morose by the audience they used to get. So like that, 1 hour they spent at the Commonwealth Pier at Boston Harbor, and they returned back. And they were again sitting on the same bus, and the driver was not able to start. I think it was Hamsduta Prabhu, or if I'm not wrong, he was starting the bus, but bus is not starting. After great difficulty, the bus started, and even if it was moving, it was making so many weird sounds, and finally somehow it reached to the the quarters of Prabhupada, and Prabhupada told, please sell this bus. We cannot afford to have it. Will have a bad impression in the society, a bad image. Better to sell this bus and get some Lakshmi, which can be used for the service of the Lord. Now, in Boston, Prabhupada was given another engagement of Uncle J show. So this was a show overnight, and Pradyumna Prabhu, Satsarup Maharaj, Jadurani Mataji, 3 of them went. Night 11 o'clock, the show was about to begin, and Srila Prabhupada was invited at morning 3 a.m. So during that time, Uncle J, who introduced the devotees on the radio, people cannot see that here are the 3 2 gentlemen and 1 lady who are American bodied, but they speak also American accent, but they are very unusual because they have some white paint over their nose, and they speak, when you hear them speaking, you will feel amazed the way they are speaking, the philosophical talks. So like that, devotees tried to answer some questions, although they were very silly questions, but many people immediately started asking questions when they heard the description of these 3 personalities. And at 3 a.m., Prabhupada had got up on his usual time, maybe around 2 o'clock or so he used to get up. So he had no difficulty to reach the show. Immediately he started to go. Physically, he had to be present to the show. And there, one by one, the questioner, the interviewer started asking questions to Srila Prabhupada. So Prabhupada, he was asked, Prabhupada, we heard that generally Swamis, spiritualists, they don't cross the ocean. Prabhupada immediately interrupted. No, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu told to preach worldwide. Jare dekho tare kaho Krishna Upadesh. Then that means Chaitanya Mahaprabhu knew that I will have to cross the ocean. So there is no problem. Another question came, how did you become a Swami? So Prabhupada told that it is not a question of everybody has to become a Swami. And at the end of fag end of the life, at the 75 years, everybody needs to control the senses. And Swami, the word Swami means to control the senses. And when he told like this, then the interviewers was amazed that everybody are supposed to become Swami. And yes, Prabhupada told very confidently, Swami means controller of one's senses. So then he asked, did you give up your wife, Swamiji? And Prabhupada told, it was not that we have given up. When I went, I met my son. I could not meet my wife. But yes, a wife is not allowed to be the student of the husband when the husband becomes a Swami. But she has become a devotee of another Swami, like that Prabhupada mentioned. Devotee of another Swami means another spiritual person. Like that Prabhupada made a statement. So he has not given up the wife, but a woman should be protected in her childhood by his father, in the young age by her husband, and in the old age by the children. So in that way, women are always not given up but protected. So in this way, Prabhupada made an answer to that question. And then there was another question that we call this as desertion in our country. Then Prabhupada argued, no, there is no question of desertion or so. It is only question of progress. We are not giving any divorce when we become a Swami. A devotee of, she has just become a devotee of another Swami, that's all. And she always is under the protection of my son. And I met my son when I went recently to India. Then another question came that, Swamiji, do you believe that soul is immortal? Then Prabhupada replied that there is no question of belief. It is a fact that soul is immortal. So this may be very, very simple answers which we would have heard in our previous discussions. But what we can appreciate here is the conviction with which Prabhupada is answering. There is no question of belief. It is a fact. So then one question came from Bible that Swamiji, in Bible it is said that soul that sinneth also dies. So the Uncle J interrupted, telling that don't ask questions from Bible. That you should ask only to the priest. Here then Prabhupada interrupted, telling that no, we can answer this question. And he tells that soul which is conditioned by bodily consciousness is considered to be sinful, and that soul dies. So actually the soul doesn't die, but the body dies. And that is the interpretation what Prabhupada gave. And then Uncle J questioned on Maharshi Transcendental's meditation. That is that meditation something similar to your meditation? Then and does Swami means controlling of the senses only? Then if I cut you, then you will not have any pain because you are a very great saintly person meditating and controlling your senses. Then Prabhupada told, no. That is not perfection, that if you cut and I don't feel any pain. That even if we give chloroform anesthetic to any person, they will not have any pain and they will die also because of the anesthesia. But what control of senses means is, if I can be in the midst of very, very beautiful women, but I don't get disturbed, I don't feel hankering for the sexual desire, and if I can tolerate that, that is what is control of senses. So this is the way Prabhupada gave a talk on a radio show for 2 hours from 3 o'clock to 5 o'clock. And when he came back to the quarters at the street where he was staying, there were many children who were, by seeing Prabhupada, they were telling, oh, Hare Krishna, in a joking mood, in a slightly teasing mood. But when a devotee was trying to interrupt them, not trying to tease, then Prabhupada told, no, let them chant. At least they are chanting the holy names of the Lord. And it was in this place where Prabhupada told, now this street should not be called Church's Street, I think it was. And Prabhupada told it can be named as Hare Krishna Street. So that street where Prabhupada stayed in Boston is known to devotees as Hare Krishna Street. And that was the quarters where Prabhupada took and accepted the name Prabhupada. So once Jadurani Mataji was interacting with Prabhupada, where Prabhupada made a statement that this G, we call Swami G, Prabhu G. So Prabhupada told this G word is a third class way of respect or address. So then when Jadurani Mataji heard this, she immediately asked Prabhupada, but she asked that, then we are calling you Swamiji, is it not correct? Is it not very good? Then what way we should call you? Then Prabhupada told that, yeah, generally you should call as a spiritual master. So then she further asked, what is the exact words we should use? So Prabhupada told, you can use Gurudev, you can use Prabhupada, and one more word Prabhupada mentions. I forget the third word, but yeah, 3 words Prabhupada mentions: Gurudev, Prabhupada, and one more. So then she decided and she announced to everybody in the storefront in Boston that henceforth no calling Swamiji, we will be calling him as Prabhupada. But then devotees were feeling little uncomfortable because they were very fondly calling him Swamiji and they were not able to immediately turn to Prabhupada. So then in one morning walk, Srila Prabhupada, Vishnupad, yes, thank you, Radharani Mataji. She has recalled the third word, Vishnupad. So when Satsvarup Das Maharaj or one of the disciples asked in the morning walk that Srila Prabhupada, we heard that now we have to call you as Prabhupada and not Swamiji, then Prabhupada gave a very strange reply. Is it? I never said that. Probably what we understand, it is his humility that he is not claiming, because Jadurani Mataji insisted to everybody. Because I have heard that there were questions on this when Prabhupada came to India from the disciples, his god brothers, that how you have claimed yourself as Prabhupada. And Prabhupada told very boldly that I never told them to call me as Prabhupada. They have, out of affection, they have given me this title. But yes, but when this devotee asked in morning walk, Prabhupada told it is okay to call Swamiji also. He mentioned them. But devotees never took up to Swamiji again. They all understood that what Jadurani Mataji had heard from Prabhupada, and henceforth they all used to call him Prabhupada only. And in fact, there was a BTG article in which one of the disciples mentioned the full word, the meaning of the word Prabhupada, and there was a very big article which came that there are 2 meanings of Prabhupada. One is that one who is at the lotus feet of Prabhu, that is the Lord Vishnu, and another meaning is that at whose lotus feet there are many Prabhus. He is also considered to be Prabhupada. These were the 2 meanings mentioned in that advertisement which came. And it was further mentioned that all our acharyas like Rupa Goswami, Prabhupada, these are actually to be addressed as Prabhupada. And our Guru Maharaj has also done the preaching work in the same parampara, bringing Krishna consciousness to West. So we are going to address him as Prabhupada, and the Swamiji has kindly considered, accepted it, and he has told yes. So like that article came, and henceforth everybody started calling him Prabhupada only. And now there was only 2 days remaining in the Boston visit, and Prabhupada was scheduled to Montreal, and Srila Prabhupada made a comment, or he asked Satsvarup Maharaj that I am scheduled for Montreal visit in next 2 days. So is that all right? So when Prabhupada asked like this, Satsvarup Das Maharaj felt ashamed that the spiritual master is asking permission. So he was feeling little uncomfortable. But yes, Satsvarup Das Maharaj was asking a question now to Prabhupada. Prabhupada, now you are here, we are able to take directions from you if there are any questions. But when you are not here, what we will do? How we will take direction from you? And Prabhupada made a statement that Krishna and his names are non-different. That's all. So then Satsvarup Das Maharaj heard that, but then he was contemplating that I have to understand the deeper meaning what Prabhupada is trying to convey. And then he writes in Lilamrtha that since Krishna and Krishna's name are non-different, by when we chant, disciples chant Hare Krishna, Krishna is physically present, and we can take directions from Krishna by the mercy of the spiritual master. So this is what Satsvarup Das Maharaj took as a understanding. And then surely Prabhupada met Jadurani Mataji, and he was sure that she will continue doing her service of creating pictures for the Bhagavatam. And he was just reviewing a few more pictures which were made, and he saw one new picture painting which Jadurani Mataji has made of Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur in a American Amazon forest kind of a setting. So Prabhupada immediately corrected, my spiritual master never came to America or was never in such a background. So like that he gave correction, and he met all the disciples. And Jadurani Mataji and Govind Dasi Mataji actually not able to bear the separation, They went till the last moment where Srila Prabhupada was boarding the airplane. They went inside the airplane only to just see him off till the last moment. And Prabhupada goes back to Montreal and writes further letter that because he saw Jadurani Mataji crying. Then in the letter Prabhupada writes, I still remember your face crying in the airplane, and do not worry, ups and downs will keep coming in your life, but do not get shaken up and continue with Krishna consciousness with the same spirit which you are doing without getting any distractions. So in that way, the Prabhupada Lilamrtha chapter ends over there, which Prabhupada trying to enthuse the devotees in different ways, in different scenarios with philosophical marks. So personally, when I went through this, it was giving me a lot of clarity that how Prabhupada was very clear and bold in his presentation of Krishna consciousness. At the same time, very caring to the devotees and appreciating their contribution, making them further progress, giving them Brahman initiation. When he gave second initiation, the next day when the Brahmanas came to morning walk, and Prabhupada immediately reacts, here comes the Brahmanas. But he told that now no more so-called Brahmanas. Now you have to start acting as actual Brahmanas. In fact, those devotees who were planning to take initiation, they asked, Prabhupada, what is the thing which we have to do now? And Prabhupada told that, don't worry, I will tell you tomorrow in the ceremony itself. So Prabhupada was can do that. Now we cannot imagine doing that. We have so many rules, regulations, Bhakti Shastri, etc. But Prabhupada was very cheerful in advancing their disciples further in Krishna consciousness at those early days, is what we can nicely appreciate from this Boston chapter. So thank you very much for the patient hearing. Devotees can share their comments or please correct in case there are any mistakes. I pause here for any comments to you. Srila Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Dandavad. Thank you very much for wonderful sharing of nectar from Srila Prabhupada Lilamrtha. Thank you, Prabhu. And the devotees may please share their realization of reflections by unmuting themselves.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dandavad Pranam. I was just flipping the book, so I just saw the three names, so I just put Vishnupada Prabhu.
Okay, thank you. That was very nice.
I usually keep the book and then follow it up when it is being presented. Prabhu, this part of it I really very liked it. It says we should not be disappointed if nobody is hearing when we are talking. Yeah. So that's what happens. I just go to a small hostel. That's about 60 students are there. But all of them will be sleeping. Many a times I told them, this is not the time to sleep. You should come 1 hour, you should spend. Spite of telling, but I will have 50% of attendance. So now I should not get, I usually don't lose my heart. I continue my whatever little teaching I do. So this is the nice thing. We will play to the moons and stars and all directions, he said. So, yeah.
In fact, once a devotee had complained, not devotee, a non-devotee had made a comment that Prabhupada, I see disciples sleeping in the class. Then Prabhupada told that yes, in spite of them sleeping, they are making so much advancement. If you come and hear even a little bit, how much more advancement will you make? Just by hearing little bit, even though they are sleeping, but whatever little they have heard, they have made so much advancement. So why don't you also come and you will also make advancement? On the other occasion, when Prabhupada was making a Bhagavatam class, he told the whole movement is going on by the mercy of Lord Chaitanya. And when Prabhupada opened his eyes, he made this statement with his closed eyes. But when Prabhupada opened eyes, he saw that devotees, majority of them are sleeping. And then when Prabhupada again closed his eyes and told, indeed, this is a fact. The whole movement is going on with the mercy of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So Prabhupada was never losing his courage or enthusiasm when he saw some ups and downs like that. So that is a good inspiration for us. Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you for the wonderful sharing, Prabhu. I was just thinking that, can you hear me, Prabhu?
Yes, Mataji. Audible.
I was just thinking how we should be so grateful to hear Lilamrtha because the interaction of disciples with Prabhupada, so many things have come out, isn't it? Like calling him Prabhupada because of Jadurani Mataji. So she just asked this question, and then today we are calling Prabhupada Srila Prabhupada. It's worldwide is known as Srila Prabhupada. So that's wonderful. And also in 2016, we had the opportunity to go to US. And when there was a plan to go to Boston, Prabhu and I thought, okay, we should see the Commonwealth Pier, the historical. For us, it's like a complete finish the journey. So our cousin took us there, and then we went to the Commonwealth Pier. It was such a beautiful day, overlooking the waterfront. And I was expecting to see some, some kind of plaque or some indication that Prabhupada, our disciples would have done, but then nothing like that. There was a little change, I heard. We heard that, in that place. But we felt so happy. We offered obeisances and we just stood there and thanked Prabhupada. We imagined how Prabhupada would have come there, It was a very wonderful experience for us. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Thank you, Mataji, for reminding that. Hare Krishna. Yes. It is very inspiring that devotees are inspiring and encouraging me by hearing. Although I know only little, I've just read and repeated as it is. But many devotees already know more of the thing. As Malini Mataji was mentioning, that how this interaction of Jadurani Mataji brought the Prabhupada is very enlivening. Even I was not aware of this. When I read only, I came to know. Thank you.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dhanavad Pranams. Thank you. Thank you for the excellent, summary of this entire chapter. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Prabhu. Ravi Lochan Prabhu always inspires me, offline and online. So,
thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you, devotees. I think, Prabhuji, if there are no questions, we can end the session with Vaishnava Pranam. Avancha kalpatarubhyasya kripa sindhobhyaya patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaः. Srila Prabhupada Lilamrtha ki jai, Granthra Srimad Bhagavata ki jai, Jagat Krishna Prabhupada ki jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnava ki jai. Thank you, devotees. I will be ending the Zoom session.